Qualifier V2. This is a super safe and effective natural anabolic. Not only is this product going to help you increase protein synthesis, which basically means muscle recovery and growth, it also may inhibit myostatin, which is a protein in your body that is known to inhibit muscle growth. This is a complete natural anabolic that works through multiple different pathways, has multiple trademarked ingredients. If you are a natural athlete looking for that edge, Qualifier V2 is what you need. Get yourself some.
All right, everybody, welcome to an exciting episode of the Pro Physique Code. And we're going to talk all about a lot of stuff, but mostly we're going to start with discussing the new qualifications for the divisions. The Classic Physique, Men's Physique, Bikini, and Wellness have completely new rules to qualify for the Olympia for 2026. And also, they kind of slid it in there. Fit model is going to be at the 2026 Olympia. They just snuck that out in there, down at the bottom if you weren't paying attention. But I think we all noticed that. But before we do that, we have 10 spots left for San Diego. It is confirmed. It's happening. So if you guys want to come train at Brett's gym, train with us in San Diego, October 3rd weekend, there's 10 spots left. Go to prophysique.com/events. We're going to eat. We're going to train. We're going to talk. We're going to pose. What else? What am I missing? What are we going to do? We're going to walk and get some donuts. Oh, no. You know what they have there? That Blue Bear.
What's Blue Bear? Tell me more.
They make the cookies. They take them out of the oven. They put ice cream in between the cookies. So you got hot cookies with ice cream.
Sounds right up my alley.
It's disgustingly good.
Love it.
Do the cookie.
It does smell like weed everywhere you go. So I think there's a strong correlation.
Weird.
Yeah, I'm not, honestly, this may be an unpopular opinion. I'm not a fan of ice cream cake or ice cream like cookies. Like, I don't know. I like ice cream, but I don't like it with like.
You can get just ice cream and you can get just cookies, but the here is like they let you pick out two cookies. You can pick like a chocolate chip and a whatever, like a sugar cookie, and then they put the ice cream in the middle and they give it to you, and it's like it's about the best thing you've ever had.
You know, my favorite place in San Diego is La Jolla. I love La Jolla Beach. Like, it's just so cute.
Pretty close. We could make our way up there.
I would love that.
All right, Lexi, the question of the week. We've been getting some great answers. We know where everyone lives, right? We know what division they compete in, right? So what's our question of the week?
Oh, this is a good one. We should make it something fun, like just a random question.
I like this one. All right.
All right.
You guys answer below. What's the food you crave the most when you're in prep?
I like that. Yeah. Now I feel like we need to all answer that question. Now that you asked that, let's tell them.
Yeah, for me, it's when I'm in prep, it's savory, salty. So usually it's like a burger and fries because that's hard to fit in my macros. Like a burger is, I can make a lean burger and I could make air fried fries, but it's just not the same.
What about you?
I don't know what I crave actually. I bounce around.
Evan craves victory.
Yes, I crave victory. I love sugar though. Sugar's like my thing. I love sugar. Cookies.
See, sugar fits my diet. It's fat that's hard for me to fit. I can eat a ton of carbs, so I can eat candy and cereal and Pop-Tarts and prep, but I can't fit in like 80 grams of fat from a burger.
My issue, Paul, is I don't want like a little bit of it. I want like the whole family size bag of it.
Oh, okay.
That's the issue.
Did you ever see, like years ago when I did a prep, I did a day where I was like, okay, I'm going to eat 1,000 grams of carbs in one day. Did you ever see that video?
No.
Yeah, it went pretty well. Like the hard part was actually getting 1,000 grams of carbs. I was like, stuffing my face and I was at 500 carbs. I was like, what the hell am I going to eat? I was literally eating boxes of cereal and like bags of gummy worms.
Oh, wow. Sounds so good.
That reminds me, back in the day, I remember there used to be, I mean, it probably still exists, but there used to be that whole YouTube challenge, the 10K
10,000 calories. Yeah.
I remember watching those in high school. They were just so interesting because, I mean, it was interesting to see who would make it through and who wouldn't, but that is a challenge I would absolutely never do.
Some people literally have no off switch for food. Lauren Conlon was like that. So when I used to travel with Lauren Conlon, she would eat more than me. And I would be like, what is wrong with you? Like she could literally eat 10,000 calories by noon and be still hungry. I tried to do 10,000 calories in a day. I think I got to 7 or 8 and I felt sick. I'm like, that's enough.
Yeah.
Do you remember, Paul, when you and Lauren did the Krispy Kreme Power Hour
Also got
podcast?
sick. We literally had to go walk around my neighborhood for an hour. I felt so sick after that.
How did those rules go again?
So you've heard of Power Hour, like the drinking
Yeah.
game. You do a shot of beer every minute for 1 hour. So we did Power Hour with donuts. So a dozen donuts, and we chopped it up so it was, a whatever, like an eighth of a donut every minute for an hour. But I think what we did is we broke up the donuts like over the course of the hour. Like I think every 5 minutes it works out to whatever it was. Every 5 or 10 minutes we ate a whole donut,
Yeah,
and
that would be
it
tough.
was great up until like 7 or 8. Like it was like I couldn't wait to eat the next one. 3, 4. But you got to about 7, 8. It's been about 40 minutes now. They're starting to settle in. And I remember like I think even on the podcast, we were like, oh man, I'm gonna be sick if I eat all dozen. But we did it. She did it. That's the impressive thing. Like I'm a 200, I think I was probably 230 pounds at that point. She's not a man, but she got no off switch. I
That's
saw she
funny.
started up a podcast again. We got to get her on here. I gotta talk to her.
Oh, yeah. No, I feel like the past two shows I've done, and I haven't even gotten it post show, but the thing I've been craving is a sub sandwich from like Jimmy John's. And
Yeah.
I really also like crumble. Like I just I don't know. Sometimes I crave it when I see these people doing reviews. I'm not like a huge crazy foodie, but I haven't gotten that yet either. Maybe I don't know. My weight's doing some weird things right now, despite how much I'm eating. So maybe I could afford some crumble soon.
So the funny thing is when you're talking about like the Jimmy John's, that's one of the weird random things and it's specifically Jimmy John's. And I don't want it any other time. I don't know why.
Yep. Yeah, I walked past a Jimmy John's at North Americans like Friday, the day before the show, and where it says like free smells, and I was like, oh, it smelled so good. But yeah, there's something about Jimmy John's. I think it's the bread. I think it
Yeah,
truly
it definitely is the
bread.
bread. Yeah.
The only time I like peanut butter is when I'm close to stage lean. Like I don't mind peanut butter. I don't avoid it, but I don't crave it. But at the end of prep, I'm like making excuses for like how can I get more peanut butter in my day? Yeah.
You know what I used
Yeah.
to do? Some people probably listening, if they watched me on YouTube years ago, probably remember this. I used to have all these like fancy nut butters and I would freeze them and then I'd eat them like out of the freezer, like it was like peanut butter fudge, and it was really good and it was easier to, manage
Ugh.
your portion sizes. But I haven't had peanut butter in a very long time, honestly.
I don't know how you eat. I've tried all those, Lexi, and they destroy my stomach.
Hmm.
They, oh, they bloat me. It's just like, oh, I can't do it.
Is it a
I
bunch of
mean,
What?
artificial sweeteners in them?
There's a bunch of garbage in it. Yeah.
I'm trying to remember the ones I ate. I mean, I
Are
never
they
They're
ate.
like G
delicious.
butter? I used to have a bunch of clients complain about G butter.
I
G
never
butter?
had G butter. Never had G butter. They were like it was a company called Fokin Nuts. I don't think they exist anymore.
Oh,
Um,
Brandon Fokin. I
yeah,
know him.
yeah.
Yeah.
He used to always send me a ton of the nut butters, and I love them. But I mean, I was never
I
eating
don't know about that one.
I
more.
think you're saying it wrong though. I think it's fucking nuts.
Maybe, maybe. But he used to always send me his flavors, and they were so good. But I mean, I was never
Yeah.
having more than like a serving per sitting, so they didn't really wreck
Okay.
my stomach. I mean,
Yeah.
I could see if you were having like copious servings in a day, but that wasn't my case. But they were so good. But
Okay.
yeah, but I
So,
don't buy that stuff anymore. I try to. A lot of my fats come from like actual good quality fats now,
yeah.
so.
Well, when it comes to almond butter and things like that, I can't even keep them around in an off season because it's one of those things I just want to keep eating it. Like especially when I get up in the middle of the night, I like, oh, it's easy just go in there and get a little bit of it. And it's I cannot do it, but it being here is a massive temptation to me, and I'd rather just not have it. Like it's just one of those things. And because
All
whenever I
right. So
get
you
one, like every
guys
3 months I'll get it. And it
comment below what's the thing you crave in prep, at the end of prep, like something that just
so good.
becomes your focus. Even flexible dieters, like listen, I've noticed every prep it's something different. One prep, every day at the end of the day, I had to have an egg white omelet with ground beef and salsa. Every day, I would my whole day, I would just wait for that meal. And then as soon as prep
It's
ended,
good.
never wanted it again. But
I've
like,
had it's so good too, Paul. I used to have that for my last meal all the time. It's
yeah.
so good. And you try the different salsas. You get so excited
Oh
about those
yeah, listen,
salsas.
you
Yep.
become I've tried different seasonings for the ground beef. You become such a connoisseur of your meals at the end of prep. Um, yeah, and it would have to be a performance. I would make it, set it down nice, have my meal, have my show,
Hmm.
and I'm
I could not start eating my meal until my show was ready to go.
for sure. I'm no,
Yeah.
no, yeah, I'm gonna be in the zone. All right, well they made a pretty big announcement, and it's because this weekend coming up is the last qualification weekend. We also said we would do an Olympia kind of prediction video. I think it's too soon for that. Let's wait till next week so we have all the qualifications in, and then we'll do like a top 10, our predictions for top 10 with our like dark horses for like, who might be top 10. Um, so I think the point system being back is a response to Lexi. You said there's 69 qualified. I thought I counted 71, but either way, it's way higher than it was. It was like 52 or 54 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and that was a lot.
Yeah, well, the 69 was the number that was before this past weekend.
Okay,
So
so yeah, Krista Bellina or whatever her name is that won Florida, and I didn't even know. I think there's a lot of these competitors just pure international. Like I see, there's a ton of shows in the Far East, European shows, um, because that's a lot of bikini pros, and I know it's annoying when you're there and you got to watch 60 or 70 individual routines, but even as an athlete, when you come out for group comparisons and then you got to go backstage and wait an hour and a half till that changes the quality of the show. Like those, like literally, I remember having Daraja because she was at the or one of the earlier groups. I was like, you got to eat a meal because you're gonna not be on stage for an hour and a half. Like we don't want to flatten out. You got to plan your day around not when you're going to be on stage, but when you're going to be on stage the first time, the second time.
And
yeah.
I think
No,
it's
I'll go for
I
it.
think it's I know we talk a lot about bikini on here, but I always think too about like things like the open bodybuilding guys, right? And like say
Yeah.
for finals on Saturday, the show typically starts with them coming out. And they're one of the first groups to initially come out, and they'll do some stuff, they'll do some comparisons, then they'll come out in the middle and do their routines, then they come back at the end for the final part of the show.
Hmm.
And that is so much time for them because the finals of Olympia is what, 3.5 hours?
Well, that has nothing to do with the bikini division, the men's physique division, because that by then they've brought it down to the top 10. That's them dragging the damn show out.
Yeah, it's so
But I agree. Like,
long.
listen, going to watch the finals of Mr. Olympia, I've never stayed to watch the Mr. Olympia. I've just left and been like, I'll find out on Instagram because it's like, yeah, you're there for 3.5 hours. It's crazy.
I think it's important too. Someone brought this up and it makes a lot of sense. The the reason Arnold is so popular and gets so much viewership is it's almost more exclusive than like the Olympia is. There's
Way
like
more
10,
exclusive.
there's 10 people. They all go to finals. They all get their time. And the show is wrapped up in what, an hour and 45 minutes at finals?
Well, yeah, and it used to be 16, but like you go to prejudging at the Arnold, bikini comes out at 1, they're done by 125.
Yeah.
There's 10 girls, there's two call outs. But like, so for Daraja, who was in the final call out, she came out for her group, went backstage, individual routine, an hour later, went backstage. They still had all the individuals after her, another hour till call outs. So it's, you know, I guess it's to your advantage if you know what you're doing as a coach or your athletes are in good place. But you know, those are long days. So I've heard some confusion around how many people are going to be at the Olympia next year for these divisions, the classic men's physique, bikini, and wellness. It's not 25 people.
No.
It could actually be double that. It could still be 50 people because it's the top 25s in the point standings plus all the other stuff below it. And the one that's interesting is if you win two contests,
Yeah.
you come off the points list. So let's say you've got 30 points and you go do a show the week before the Olympia, because this happened to Lana last when she got qualified on points. She was fourth in points. The girl that was first in points won a show, taking her off the points list, moving Lana up to third. She goes to the Olympia.
Yep.
So it's it could still be 50 competitors. I don't think it
Hmm.
could be 70. Um, but they've also got a couple of shows that are automatic qualifiers. The
Yeah.
Arnold, the Pittsburgh Pro, the New York Pro, the Romania Muscle Fest, and the Dubai Pro. So those 5 shows, there's 5 more people, plus the 25 points, that's 30, plus top 3 at the Olympia, that's 33. And then anybody that wins 2 shows, which, knowing that, I wonder how many people are going to try to do that. Just get it done.
When the 2 shows, I mean, again,
Yeah.
this is one of those things that a lot of planning is going to come into it, kind of like it used to.
Yeah, I think it's going to, the strategy is going to be very important around competing.
And we're just talking about the bikini division too. Well, that's bikini and men's physique and wellness. The other, um, the other divisions is the exact same that it always
Hey, you
has
guys,
been.
you guys talk for a second. I got to go handle something with my son.
Yeah,
Okay.
you're good. Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting because I hear a lot of bikini pros at the Olympia. I mean, because at the end of the day, we all know as coaches and also athletes, when you get the physique stage lean, like it can be freaky on show day. Like you have to
Mhm.
sometimes you have to really keep up with food before, so that way you're not falling flat. So I always find it interesting, hearing some athletes talk about being backstage. And I mean, if we're talking you're literally in line for an hour, like trying to time that with making sure you're staying full and you're not falling flat on stage, like
Mhm.
it's just hard. And I don't know if this is true. Don't quote me if this is not right. I feel like I've heard that like coaches can't be backstage. I don't know if that's true, but I mean that would also make it hard. I mean, you'd have to, if you're an athlete, relying on your coach to tell you what to eat, when to eat. Like it just, I can't imagine as an athlete. There's a lot of strategy I'm imagining that goes into
Yeah.
being backstage. And just again, like when your body is stage lean, I mean, Evan, like I guess I feel like a good example that I can think of is when we were at Pittsburgh this past year. I know your client Kelly, like you were having to just feed her to just stay full,
Mhm.
right? And we've all had those athletes before that, like when they're lean, they're just running through food. It's insane. So and Olympia level bikini athletes generally they're all conditioned. It's not like they're missing the mark with conditioning. So just keeping up with the demands of staying full like is a beast within itself.
It is. And if we're being honest with ourselves too, the easiest division it is to manage with all of these competitors is bikini. The
Yeah,
other divisions like wellness and classic, I mean, good grief. You know how hard it is and how hard the timing is on all of that stuff? It's the only division that it's even manageable in is bikini. And then now like fit model would be. And it's not easy in bikini, right? It's not. It's hard for everyone in here with that. Uh
absolutely,
I am
absolutely.
going to give one piece of advice to a lot of people too. When this announcement first came out, before you comment, please read it. Just read it. I saw a few females physique competitors complaining about how they would have to do a bunch of shows to qualify on points, and these are the same physique competitors that win multiple shows. So for physique, women's physique, you still win and you're in. It's the same thing it has been on there. So before you comment, before you get upset with things, read the rules on something, right? Don't just assume things. Just you don't have to just give your opinion right off the bat. Read and digest something.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, the way I look at it too is whether you like these new rules or you don't. I can
Hmm.
imagine there was a lot of thought that was put into it. I mean, I don't think that the Manions or the NPC IFBB just like probably made this decision lightly. There was probably a lot of back end thought that went into this amongst a
Hmm.
lot of people before they made this decision. So whether you like it or you don't, I think it will benefit things to some capacity. Now, I'm not sure how much, but I think it will benefit things to some capacity. And I'm curious, Evan, to hear your thoughts about the whole point system kind of being brought back because
Yeah.
I feel like there's like two groups of people. I feel like some people really liked the point system, but I also know some people didn't like it because you would see those competitors that were having to almost kind of run themselves into the ground, competing so many times to just work their way up the point system. So I'm curious to hear your thoughts on that being brought back.
I like the way they brought it back. I like the way they brought it back for the divisions they brought it for. It's the divisions they give out pretty much the most pro cards for. It's the divisions that have the highest number of athletes in them. And it's the division with, at least typically, they have the most shows with them too, the most opportunities. So I like the way they brought it back for some, but not everyone. I do like that aspect on things, and I think it's a very smart starting point for them because they can always whittle it down from here. They can always whittle it down from here. So let's say next year at Olympia, you got 55 classic physique guys, 50, 50, 60 bikini girls, and 50 classic physique guys. They can say, okay, now next year it's only going to be 20 that qualifying points, and then 15, and then 10. They can cut it down that way. I think it will reduce the numbers. I don't think it's going to reduce the numbers by half. I think it's going to reduce the numbers. Say there's 70 bikini girls this year. I think there's 50 next year. I think it probably cuts it by about 20. It's not going to be this crazy drastic thing like everybody thinks it is. I really don't.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that. I don't think it's going to cut it down an insane amount, but I think it will be a lesser number. And like you said, they can always kind of, adapt and tweak it in the years
Mhm.
moving forward, right? I'm all for, I like that the point system does kind of encourage participation. And I mean,
Yeah,
I think
so
at
do
the
I.
end of the day too, it's going to help promoters and shows. And, we've talked about this before. At the end of the day, this is a business, like,
Mhm.
promoters and people have to make money, right? So I think it's going to encourage more participation, and we may see more girls at shows. So I think that can be a benefit. But yeah, I think it'll be interesting to just observe kind of what I'm just really curious to see some of the strategy that goes into it
Yeah.
with some of these pro athletes, because not for nothing, there's gonna probably be several pros that have always qualified for the Olympia in past years that may not be able to qualify, next year. So it'll just be interesting to kind of observe that.
And the older I get in life, the more I stop looking at something and be like, do I agree with this or disagree with this? It's more, will this make it more interesting? And I think this will absolutely make it more interesting. I think it's a cool storyline. I think it's something to talk about. I think it's something to spice things up a little bit. Some people will hate it, some people will like it, but I like the fact they're doing stuff. I do like that. I like the fact they're not sitting back. And kudos to Tyler. I think this is a big Tyler thing. I know that he sat down with Jim Mannion, his granddad, and they came up with this idea. And of all the ideas you could have came up with, I think this is a very good starting spot. And I'm interested to see where they go with it. But I do like the fact they just didn't come in and blow the whole thing up to begin with, right? They're kind of nibbling around the edges with this. And while this may not seem like it is, I promise you, everyone, they're nibbling around the edges of this stuff here. Because 25 qualifications on points, a lot of people to qualify on points. The only difference between this and the previous point system was the previous one is you win and you're in, right? This one you have to win two shows. Outside the four big ones, you got to win two shows to get in, right? And then before it was only three on points. Now it's 25.
Yeah.
So it's not as drastic as everyone's making it out to be, I don't think. And look, if you're good enough to win one show, look, it can be a weak lineup. Not a lot of people can be there. But if you're good enough to win two shows, you're probably pretty damn good. And yes, could there be two shows you catch lightning in a bottle twice in a row in a season? Sure, but the likelihood of that's very, very low. So I think it's going to whittle out a lot of those people who just slide in and get. Not that there's ever an easy win, but you know what I'm talking about, like a win that has like what the show that had like four people in it, something
Yeah.
like that.
I think it'll just enhance the quality. And again, that's not to downplay anybody that has qualified for the Olympia this year, but I think we kind of talked about this before we started the podcast. When you have so many people and such a prestigious show, it kind of starts to like water down like
Yes.
what's the word? Like not just the quality, but like the honor of being there, right? Compared to if
Mhm.
there's less people, it kind of it enhances the honor of like, wow, only X amount of people can come to this show. So I think it'll just like enhance the honor of being there and just enhance the quality overall too.
It absolutely will. I draw the comparison between like NFL football. What NFL used to be football on Sundays, it used to be football like Monday Night Football, and everyone looked forward to both of those things. And then they expanded out to everything else, and it watered it down. And just kind of like we are talking about, well, a lot of times we talk about like how many pro cards they give out. Not everyone has the right to be a pro, right? And not everyone that's a pro has a right to make it to Olympia. It's not like you have a right to do it. It's supposed to be the most prestigious part of the sport. And it's not that prestigious anymore when you have 70 damn people up there.
Amen.
Well, did you guys talk about the fact that next year, because I've talked to some promoters that are going to be switching from bikini to fit model pro.
Hmm.
So I think there's going to be a natural reduction in competitors because of that fact. You know, like
Yeah.
if there are less shows to qualify at, because you know the qualification for fit model is just win and you're in. Because obviously there's not going to be a ton of fit model pro shows, so I'm expecting those to be some pretty big lineups. You know, I thought they might even say like top two get in fit model because they might only have, if they're not starting till May, and if they move the Olympia up to September, um, did did you guys notice that
That
About
the
they're moving
Olympia
up a
next
month.
year's in September?
Oh no, are they? Is it September?
oh,
Well, so this year the Olympia qualification ends September 15th.
Yep.
Next year it ends August 30th. That's 2 weeks sooner.
Oh, you're
wow.
right. August 30th. You're right.
So that means the Olympia is going to be September 15th next year, which is the
Wow.
original date.
Yep.
So now you've got May to August 30th. So you've got May, June, July, August. You've got 4 months to qualify for the Fit Model Olympia. I
Yes.
find it hard to believe there's going to be more than 20 girls qualified because one thing I noticed this year about Fit Model girls, they do a lot of shows because they're not on their deathbed.
Exactly. No, I mean, I think that'll be interesting to see, but I think that it makes sense with the first year of it being at the Olympia that it is a smaller number. But that is interesting. Yeah, I mean, if the first Fit Model Pro Show is not until May, and then the qualification window ends at the end of August. Yeah, I mean, but I think it makes sense that the Fit Model Olympia number will be lower and probably its lowest it'll ever be that first inaugural year that they're at the Olympia.
Yeah. Yeah. I did want to touch on to something I thought was really interesting because one of the big prestigious things about winning Olympia was you're qualified for life, right? You're qualified for life, and that still is the case. But now it's after 5 years, you have to get permission to be able to go in and compete, which I think is a pretty good middle ground on it. Again, I would I would probably go a little bit further and say I would probably get rid of the lifetime uh, qualifications for Olympia winners and say you're good for 5 years after that. I would probably go that route with it. Because if you aren't good enough to win, you can win Olympia, but everyone starts going downhill at some point, right? That's just the world we live in. And it I think most people pull out before that point. I don't really have an example of someone that hasn't, but I think that just to make sure that would be the case, I think the 5 years would be a better middle ground with that. But I think that's why they put that exemption in there so they kind of have the final say.
Yeah, it's, you know, the sport is changing right before our eyes, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, their job is to, you know, the Olympia and the NPC and the IFBB, their job is to, you know, kind of shape things as they see fit. I think this is a good change. I liked the point system. I think it creates, you know, girls that are getting second and thirds, it creates an opportunity for them because, I mean, not for nothing, but second is kind of worthless right now. It can signal that you might be close enough to win, but like, you know, like I was in Atlanta and the young lady that got second, Hope, she did the Florida show and I think she got second or third, second there, second again. And so
Yeah.
she's going to Battle of the Bodies, but that lineup's even deeper than the last two shows.
Yeah.
You've got like 10 Olympians going there or more. I didn't count, but I just saw a lot of names that are Olympians. So, like, you know, that's Hope's last chance. And I know she waited so late in the season to start, you know, winning or placing, but it's just such a win and you're in thing. But, you know, that's how kind of it should be. You should be like knocking on the door.
Yeah. Yeah,
What
no, I do kind of like that idea of bringing back the point system because I do think it's going to benefit like athletes like her. But as I said, when you stepped out, Paul, it kind of it encourages more participation too. And honestly, I think that the industry can always benefit from that too, and even promoters with just like more participation at each show.
Yeah, I wonder if if they would ever consider doing a point total qualification instead of the top 25, say you have to have 30
as many
points
points?
because
Yeah,
they give you 12 points for fourth at the Olympia, but if you're fourth at the Olympia, you're probably going to win some shows, right?
yeah.
Um, so like, you know, I think who was fourth? Amy Delgado. She had a pretty good year.
Yeah.
What if you guys could? alter this in any way, what would be your dream scenario? So let's talk about like bikini specifically, like not the winning your in categories, but like for bikini, classic physique, men's physique, wellness.
I like it. I like this. I like how it is. I think they're doing a good job. Promoters are what are driving, they're begging for more pro shows. The promoters are like, hey, let us have a pro show. Let us have a pro show. How many pro bikini shows were there in 2017, 2016?
Yeah.
Way less. And the NPC worldwide has blown up. There are pro shows in Ireland, Denmark, like they're everywhere. So you've got competitors all over the world now with a chance. So I don't know if you guys looked at the list for Battle of the Bodies, but it's an international lineup. It's like 50% international clients. And like talking about China, like people are coming from all over the world to do this show. So yeah, it's become a much more global sport, whereas it used to be just an American, the bikini division is just American. It is so much more than that now. So I think that's really what's driving it. Um, and yeah, I don't know. I've seen some shows in Japan and China where they have pretty small lineups and
Yeah.
the winner is getting in to the point where I think even some American competitors are like, well, maybe we should go over there to compete.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean the Battle of the Bodies lineup this weekend though was huge. Like there's a lot of already qualified.
40, yeah, 40 something girls.
Yeah, I mean we've got Yulia, she's already qualified. We've got Taylor Crowell, we've got Lana. Let's see, who else do we have that's already qualified? We've
Saw
got,
Alice Roca's on there.
yes, Alice. I feel like there was somebody else.
Oh, the girl that just won the overall at North Americans. She's the last competitor. She's good. Don't be surprised if she sneaks in there.
What's her name?
She's the last one on the list. I forget.
It's not Courtney. I know that it's
Oh, Courtney Ostrinsky? No, she's from Canada. The one right before her then. Starts
no,
with a W.
Courtney lives in Mexico, but okay, Roberta maybe?
Roberta, that's her.
Ah, okay, okay.
Roberta, yeah. No,
Courtney.
Courtney's from Canada. She lives in Mexico now. I used
Ah,
to coach her. That's how I know.
oh,
Um,
okay, okay.
38 girls on that list. Good grief.
yeah, and it's 38 good girls. Like even the Masters over 40, there's like 5 of the girls that were just at the Masters Olympia.
Oh yeah,
So like,
Janine Herrera is on that list too. I just noticed her
yeah,
name. Yeah.
yep. So there's some stallions coming to this show.
I, I I would, if I could make an adjustment to the point system and how they're doing it, I would set it at I like the rules how they are. I do. But I'd probably cap it at like 25 or 30 athletes and say these are automatic qualifications, and however many point or however many there is left after that, you qualify in points. That's what I would
Yeah,
do.
I wouldn't
And
I
so if
wouldn't hate
there's
that.
10
Listen,
less, there's 10 qualifying points. If there's nine qualifying points. If there's 13 people qualifying points.
I would love if they said 30 competitors.
Yeah.
Are you one of the 30 best in the world? I think it would create like a cool thing. Like
Yeah.
I'm one of the top 30 in the world.
Hmm.
Because now you say I'm a bikini Olympian. I mean, it still carries weight, but there's a whole lot of bikini Olympians that I ain't never heard of. And
Yep.
for whatever reason, but it used to not be the case. I could used to tell you every single Olympian inside and out from the whole lineup, where they won at. I used to think I could do the Olympia announcing because I knew the stories so well because I was at every show. You can't keep up with the international stuff now. And I remember last year watching the call outs at the Olympia and seeing some of the like the Asian competitors and being like, "Oh my God, these girls look amazing." And none of them were in the top call out. But I was like, "Man, I feel like if they got a little more exposure, they would have been. Like if they'd been seen a little bit more."
And here's something for people to understand too. And this is kind of like, how the bread gets made or like behind the scenes stuff. A big reason the Olympia is so cool for a lot of competitors is the fact they treat you very well. They pay for your hotels, they pay for your flights, they give you per diems, they do all of this stuff. It's very expensive for them to do that, and I don't think they can do it to the same level they used to do it with it. That's at least my assumption, and I I think keeping it to less competitors would make it more special for those competitors, not just for the fans or not for anything else, but the people that actually qualify for that. Because for the Arnold, you have to put an application, and then they just basically pick who they want to be at the show. Cool thing about Olympia is you get to decide or no, you get to be good enough to get there if they want you there or not, right? So that's the cool part about that. But it's going to allow the Olympia, not that it's about them saving money, but it's going to allow them to give out more prize money to the divisions, and it's going to allow them to treat the athletes that get to the Olympia as better. Because
Yeah.
there is, look, guys, it's a business. It's a business, and they have to look at these types of things. They
Oh
have
yeah,
to.
they can't pay for, I mean, 70 for bikini and men's physique. I mean, that's
Flights,
crazy.
hotels, per diem, like
Do they pay their flights too, or just?
they used to pay for everything. I don't know what they
I
pay
know
for
they
now.
pay the hotel and I know they get a per diem. I don't know if they do the flights any, I don't know.
I don't
I don't
I don't
know.
know if they pay the flights anymore. I would be
Now for the
shocked if they
Arnold they
do.
did. For the Arnold, I remember Daraja got the red carpet, like everything.
Well,
But
that would
that's
make sense.
because that's only 16 athletes.
Mhm.
Um,
And that's kind of what I'm getting at here. I don't know if they pay for the flights
but
anymore.
that also
I
explains why the
don't.
Arnold usually has like one international competitor.
Yeah,
Right.
right.
Ottavia was from Italy, and I remember being like, "Oh, oh yeah, because they got to pay for all that."
Yeah.
So, so yeah, yeah. So the Olympia is moving up to the 15th of September, which means the last Olympia qualifier will be the last week of August. That
Tampa
means
Pro
the
again,
Tampa Pro is going to be much more in play again. Um,
just like it used to be. They
used to
used to be the
be,
last qualifier.
yeah. August 30th is, it's still not as early as it used to be. Well,
I
let's
thought
do the math here. Let's do the math actually.
I thought
September
Tampa Pro
15th,
was always the last.
it's
Tampa
two
Pro was
weeks
always the
after
last
the
qualifier.
cutoff is when they have is when they have the Olympia, right? September 15th and then October. No, it's 3 weeks.
Because I know
3 weeks.
whenever I got big into this sport, I remember Tampa Pro was always that
Oh
was the
yeah. Well, like you
last.
used to get like Dexter Jackson or you used to get
Yep.
big names to show up to the bodybuilding show because they wanted to do that and go right to the O.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, so if it's August 30th, that would mean September 21st-ish would be the Olympia next year.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Which is
Interesting.
still,
right
I
about where
like
it used to
that.
be.
I really wish they would move nationals back to November
So do
and
I.
just give us December, dude.
I don't like where Nationals is placed. I don't like it at all.
I mean, I like it that it's in Dallas. I like Las Colinas, but um, yeah, it's just there's a lot going on December 10th, man. Like you're trying to do the holidays with your family, and then I'm flying out to
Hmm.
a show for 2 days and coming back, and it's like,
Yeah.
it's not like I'm not gonna go, gonna be there. Um,
Yeah. Do you remember when the Olympia was that one year? It was in December, like I think it was December 17th, like literally the week before Christmas in Vegas.
Yeah.
yeah,
That was insane.
I mean, there was one year it was in Orlando, literally
Yeah.
the week of Christmas. Like it was like Christmas was on like a Thursday, and the Nationals was on like Saturday.
Oh, you're talking national. Oh no, I was talking about the Olympia. Remember a couple years ago when it was in Vegas, like December 17th, like right before.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that was because of all the COVID rules. They had to
Yeah.
like move around their contracts and all the things. So it is cool that it's moving back to September. I think that's going to give more kind of time for people to do the Arnold and the Olympia like they used to do. Those used to be two separate shows, and for last couple of years, it's been like the Olympia and then the Arnold was like 12 weeks later, and it was almost too short.
Yeah. That's a lot of, that's a lot of pressure on those athletes too, that do both. I mean, that's a lot on the body as well. I mean, that doesn't really give you or grant you much time to, can't really do an off season. I mean, maybe you get a couple weeks of a quote unquote break, but yeah, that's tough on athletes.
Yeah, the Arnold, for those that haven't been around a long time, the Arnold used to be the predictor of who was going to be the next Mr. Olympia or Miss Olympia or whatever. It was like that was the person that was on the rise. So like the bodybuilders, like Mr. Olympia would almost never do the Arnold. But then the guy that got second, third, and fourth, they would all be there and they would kind of fight for that, okay. So I think with bikini too, I remember, Miss Bikini Olympia would never do the Arnold, right? That hasn't been the case recently, but
Yeah.
so you would see like I remember the year Janet won the Arnold, and I was like, oh, she's going to win the Olympia this year. No, Issa beat her at the Olympia that year. So, but you see that kind of, you know, changing of the guard to a degree when it's about to happen. Um, yeah, I think I love that they just threw in the fit model stuff and didn't really talk much about it because they haven't announced the pro show.
Yeah. I was going to ask. I know they said it's starting in 2026, but is that set in stone? Or do you think they may throw
I,
in
you
some
know,
fit
I
model
don't think
pro shows
anything's
early?
set in stone. I think that
Yeah.
they're, with that division, they are, I think someone told me there's like what, 40, 50 qualified pros now outside of bikini pros, just this year, new pros. Um, and then you've still got, nationals and so you're going to get 8 more there. And the Ben Weeder, you get a couple, maybe 3 there. And then there's some international shows. And then anybody that's a current IFBB pro is qualified to do it. If they wait till May to do their first pro show, like I've heard the rumor, I think that show's going to be pretty massive. The first Fit Model Pro show might have more than 50 girls.
Oh,
I
I
I
foresee it being big too, because I just think a lot of girls too want to probably be in that inaugural like first Fit Model Pro show. So I feel like that'll hold a little bit of bandwidth too. And I mean, not for nothing, if it ends up being at the Pittsburgh Pro, I mean, that's kind of a fun place to go to as well.
I have a prediction. I predict that at the Olympia, they're going to announce the first Fit Model Pro show is going to be like a month after the Olympia.
Of this year?
Yeah, of this year. I bet they put shows in this year.
I, there's just not any shows, Evan. I mean, if I'm being honest, like they would have to announce it now because you have to give people time. And there's not a lot of pro shows left this year. I
I mean,
mean,
there's like
after,
Atlantic States, there's things like that.
yeah,
Well,
but
It's in
Tim
November.
Tim would not add a new division. They've got to get the sanctioning. And I'm telling you, they want to make a spectacle of the first pro show.
yeah, and I kind
I
of look,
think it's going to be Pittsburgh because I think they want to draw attention to that show. Like this year, how good it was and how big it was.
True.
I think if they do the first ever Fit Model Pro show at a show like Pittsburgh, draws a lot of attention. Not for nothing, but when bikini first grew, it used to draw a crowd.
Mhm.
People showed up. So I think that would draw a crowd. People are going to want to see the first ever Fit Model Pro show, talk about first call outs, um, we talked about it a little bit on the last podcast that there seems to be less, I don't know, and I hate to say it because sometimes you just wonder if it's yourself, but less kind of momentum and discussion around the Bikini Olympia.
yeah. No,
Oh yeah.
I actually I was reading through the comments of our podcast that went up yesterday when we talked about that. And I liked how somebody put it. I can't remember. I'd give them a shout out if I remember their name, but they're like, don't wait for the hype, create the hype.
Well,
So
we're going to create it. We're going to
yeah,
we're
we're
going to
gonna
do
create.
our top 10 predictions and you know, I got to do some research because I want to throw a wild card in from like Europe or China. I want to look at all the winners. Um, and you never know who's going to show up like what on show day, but we've already made some bold predictions about Reina Perez and people like that, but you know, the first thing I do is I pull up the list and I circle everybody that I think is going to be in the first call outs. And
Yeah.
then you realize you're at like 24 people and you're like, oh, Jesus. There's
Yeah.
going to be some really, really good bikini Olympians in third call outs.
There is. I think the talent's going to be amazing, but if you talk about the hype of it, at least for me, outside of like Laura Lee, who's really exciting?
Yeah. I
I mean, who
mean,
is?
well, I think
I mean, Jasmine made it exciting last year, getting in there. I haven't seen or heard much from Ashley Kaltwasser this year. I know she's done
You
a couple
haven't.
shows.
There's no excitement because there's no one exciting really doing it.
Amy
Oh,
Delgado
hey,
does a good job with content, but hers usually comes out well after the shows. It's not like a live feed up.
yeah, and she's one like I am excited to see because I feel like she's always notoriously
yeah,
gone in as a very a lot of people sometimes speculate, oh, she could be knocking at the door for first and second. And I feel like she always, I mean, she plays as well, don't get me wrong, but it's always a little bit different than I think a lot of people predict. So she's always one I'm curious to see how she shows up.
Well, you have
And
to pick people, Lexi, that are consistent.
I
There's
know.
people that their talent is through the roof, but when you don't see them consistently showing up, like even Jasmine getting third last year, and then she showed up at the Arnold and basically didn't get a look because she was, too hard, too flat,
yeah,
whatever it was. So she hasn't showed up again. She's already
yeah.
qualified.
And
Is she going to show up like the third place Jasmine? Or if she
Right.
shows up like she, off, is she third call outs? Because
Well,
she's got the wow factor.
I think Amy is, I personally would say I think she's very consistent. I mean, I don't
Oh,
usually
that's what
think
yeah,
her,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Amy's deadly consistent, and I think her best look ever might have been Pittsburgh, right? So
Pittsburgh.
that's a high note.
I
You
Yeah.
also
will,
have Ashlyn, who's been super consistent lately, fits the criteria very well. Um,
Very true. Maureen is kind of a wild card, I feel like now. I mean, we saw her once in Pittsburgh.
yeah.
Haven't seen her since. And
Issa's out. She's not
yeah,
even doing it.
Yeah. That's kind of what I'm getting at. And again, a lot of phenomenal physiques, but not a lot of storylines, not a lot of excitement, not a lot of hype, not a lot of any of that stuff because Janet's not there. You know, um,
Jen Dory.
Issa's not there. Jandori's not there. Marine, we can say we want Marine.
Yeah, Jen
Marine's
is
not
definitely a fan
sniffing,
favorite. She is one of
sniffing
those
it.
girls that everybody wants to see and looks forward to. So her
And
not
Marine would
being
have to
there.
make some big improvements to be in that conversation. Not saying she can't, but she would need to, right? Based off what we
Who's
saw at
that?
Pittsburgh. Marine, she would need to make some significant improvements from Pittsburgh
Yeah, but
to
she's
be in
had the
that mix.
time. She's
Yeah,
definitely had the
and she
time.
very well might. But
Um,
there's not a lot of hype because her last performance was subpar for what people expect from that.
yeah,
So again,
I don't think she's kept up with the because I actually, I went back and looked at her pictures from when she won the Olympia. Very similar look.
mhm,
Everyone else just now has wellness glutes, like
yeah,
3D, literally separate from your body, like glutes. So that's what's changed in bikini is
yeah.
like
I don't think
they're
she
like they're
changed.
like caricatures. Like if you watched my video on Fit Model, like the history of why they created Fit Model, I looked at the 2016 or 17 Olympia first callouts and compared it to last year's first callout. It's laughable. There wasn't a single tie-in in the callouts back then. Now it's like if you can't draw a line around their glute, they ain't. Yeah,
Mhm.
it's impressive, but it's
Again, a lot of impressive physiques, just not a lot of impressive storylines to go with it. Not saying those won't be created from it, and they very well could be, but not a lot of big names,
yeah, nobody's
right?
talking trash. Maybe that's what helps. Like because with bodybuilding, you got the whole
It
Nick
helps.
Walker and Derek kind of like feud, and then
I mean, it helps. It does.
Samson did a guest posing the other day, and he looks
It
insane,
was
and then
crazy.
Hottie comes from out of nowhere,
What do
like
you guys
so.
do you think part of it too is now that like I don't know if this has anything to do with it, but I'm not seeing like a ton, and not that they have to, but I'm not seeing a ton of like top level bikini pros putting out a ton of like content, right? Besides just like the typical like sponsored posts that they have to post, right? But like I don't feel like you really see too many people, unless I'm forgetting somebody, but like people with YouTube channels or people really posting a ton about their Olympia prep. Like I feel like it's just been like from a content standpoint, it's really quiet, which hey, rightfully so. I feel like if I was going into a show like that, I don't know. I feel like I'd want to
Well,
be
I
able
feel
to,
like that's
but
part of the bikini division has become such a bodybuilding division, and bodybuilders historically disappear in prep because those last 12 weeks are grueling. They're grinding, and I feel like the bikini division's kind of gotten that way. They are leaner than they've ever been. They are on more drugs than they've ever been on. They are pushing their bodies and their minds harder than they ever have, and that takes a toll on you. So creating content at that point is difficult. Whereas before, I
Yeah.
think, you know, yes, they were still working hard, but maybe I don't know. I
Uh,
just remember seeing Angelica Teixeira when she was Miss
yeah.
Bikini Olympia everywhere. She was at
Mhm.
all the shows and she was always bubbly and chatty. And I'd be like, how is she like 3 weeks out right now? She was always such a positive.
Yeah.
And Laura Lee does a good job. I see her around. She
Hmm.
pops into shows. She was at Republic of Texas handing out trophies. I'm sure she'll be at some of the Florida shows. She might even be Battle of the Bodies this weekend. Um, but that's part of it too. Is just people being out on podcasts talking about things. JM used to do a good job of like getting them to talk trash about each other. Maybe there's just not enough controversy in the sport right now. It's very clear
Yeah.
who's the alpha and who's nipping at
Yeah.
her heels. So
I think too, and yes, there's a lot of and there's so many good competitors out there. Like that's the thing is there you can look at the last calls of at Olympia, and that girl is like splitting hairs with people in the first call outs. Like it is
yeah.
everyone is so good. But I think a lot of the big names and stuff, they just don't compete like they used to. I mean, Amy, look, it helped the fact she did a bunch of shows last year for hype and everything else. Ashley, same thing. Along with that, I think I've been doing a lot of thinking about that, and I think a big reason that a lot of these girls are not competing after they win is because the drugs have gotten so much now that people are wising up and they're saying, I can't be on this all the time,
Oh, you
24/7,
gotta.
year round.
Yeah, I mean,
You
listen,
have to cycle off it. There's more planning going into this, especially girls that are a little bit higher up now. I don't think they're quite willing to risk it like they were to get to that point, which look, good on them. good on them. But it
Well, I
does
mean,
cut
this
down
is
on
whenever I
long
have a
period
girl
loss.
come to me and she's like, "Oh, I've been on, Anavar for like 16, 18 weeks." I'm like, "Doctors will tell you to do 8 weeks on, 4 weeks off. Why have you been on for?" "Oh, my coach just never told me to come off." I'm like, "Did your coach remember you were still on it?" Like,
Yep.
yeah, you now have to plan for the bikini division around your drug cycles to compete,
Mhm.
and that is a big consideration. And strategy for coaching, because we saw a lot of competitors that would win, win, win all year, get to the Olympia, and their bodies would just look tired and exhausted.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
so, what's the point of winning 4 pro shows if you're 15th at the Olympia, right? Because once you're Olympia qualified and you've won a couple pro shows, that's now the goal. That should be the priority. So, well,
And I think the storylines don't come necessarily so much from controversy. They just come from good competition and good personalities. I think that's a
yeah,
lot of it. Because I see in the men's physique now, and even on like Bikini Pro News and stuff, they'll try to create like controversy with Jordan saying she's all this and that. And I'm like, this all feels so manufactured and like pushed and fake. That's the vibe I get, especially from the men's physique side. It's probably not from the men's physique side. They probably all really think all this stuff, which is funny to me. But you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying though? I feel like
yeah.
it's there. You can tell when it's manufactured and when it's
Yeah.
more personality based. And the reason Open's
Well,
so
but
big this year is because Nick's back, and everyone now used to hate Nick, now they like Nick, right? And that's causing a ton of positive energy for that division along with it. Look, Chris
men's
Bumstead's not
physique,
there this year. That's another huge thing.
there's a
Yeah.
lot
It
of
is.
trash talkers in men's physique. There's a
Oh
lot
my
of
God.
guys that are like, between, the beef between Brandon and Aaron and Jeremy Buendia, and they try to get, the champ involved, but he don't chirp back too much. He just, he'll just say like, "No one's taking my title." And then you got Ali Bilal who says he's going to destroy everybody. And I don't know if that's just the YouTube content I see, but there's nobody really doing that in the bikini division. So maybe that would
No.
help if maybe
Yeah.
we just need, you need a heel like in wrestling. We need one villain that
Honestly,
everyone
that's
hates.
why Ashley was so good competing in all those shows. And I hope next year she comes out and she wins like 15 shows next year. I would love that. People hate on it when she did it, but I'm
That's
telling you, it
very
made it way
true.
more exciting. And I was like,
Very
good, you go
true.
win those shows, girl. You keep going and doing you on it. Like it makes it more exciting. She is like almost like the villain to the other competitors. And it's same thing like Urs. Urs just won his, open show. He's going and competing this weekend. He's going to take another slot from somebody, but it's in his hometown, so he's going to go do it. That
Yeah.
creates these things.
It's a great point. I mean, as much as like I absolutely loathe and hate drama, but you're right. Like in an industry like this, I guess it kind of does create more eyes and just, I don't know.
I think drama is the wrong word. I think storylines are the
Okay.
thing. Creating storylines. I think that's the important part of it. Like drama, creating drama and stuff like that. Look, it works on Love Island. It works on all these shows because they can edit it and they can pitch it and they can strike things up the way they want to strike it. Nobody really likes like drama, right? So case in point with this, if anybody's been following the open stuff like with Derek and Nick and all this stuff, everyone was just hating on Derek because he put out a video be like, I'm the best, I'm the best. And it felt so like fake. It felt so fake. It felt
Right.
forced. It didn't feel real. It felt like they were trying to put something out there rather than just being authentically who they are. And maybe that's not the case. Maybe that's completely not, but that's how it came off to a lot of people. And it creates more of like a corny feeling than a realistic or real just important things that people can kind of relate to. And I'm not saying Derek didn't believe, I'm not saying any of that. I'm saying that's how it came off to a lot of people. So
Yeah. For whatever
storylines.
reason, people get rubbed the wrong way by Derek, the way he phrases things sometimes. But I think he's just speaking what's true to him.
No,
But
I
it
think so
does
too.
it does create a conversation because you've got the other thing is with bodybuilding, you've got such different physiques. I mean, they are completely different. You've got the giants that are all 6'3", like Samson and Andrew Jacked, and then you've got, the smaller guys that are fighting for it, like Hottie and Derek. And you've got Nick, who's like a mass monster, but doesn't have as good a shape, but he just
Hmm.
oversizes people. So it's just such a cool conversation to have. Where with
Yeah, it's a
bikini,
great
it's
conversation.
not bikini. It's a little bit of like, okay, she's got bigger here, but is she out of balance? Yeah. Well, we'll see. I think it's going to be a fun weekend having all these girls compete right before the Olympia, and Tyler Mannion's going to be in Battle of the Bodies, so that's exciting.
Yeah.
So we'll
And
get
me
we'll
and you
get
will be
some
down there too,
insight.
Paul.
What's that?
We'll be down there too.
Oh yeah, yeah. And whoever wins that show, they're going to be in a good position for the Olympia, you know, a couple weeks out.
For sure.
And then we'll start digging in more. Maybe, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to ask Tyler about Fit Model. I'll be like, hey, bud, any thoughts? When's the first show? Can I get a scoop?
Yeah, get some information for us.
Just
Yeah.
get it.
Yeah. And I'm even going to ask Janet. I'll be like, you know, what's your thoughts on being as a promoter, keeping bikini, or switching to Fit Model? Like, what's the thought process there? Now, for Janet, her show, which is this weekend, is going to be the same weekend or the weekend before the Olympia next year. So I wonder if she'll move her date around. There's some strategy there about having your show right before or right after the Olympia for getting pros.
You know, now
Um,
that I'm thinking, Paul, you should also, if you remember, to do this, no pressure. It'd be kind of cool to see if, like, Janet maybe would want to be on our podcast in the future. Like, we
oh, I think she would for sure. I have
let's
a really good rapport with her. We when I see her, we talk for
I think she'd just be one that, I mean, we could interview her as obviously a past like OG bikini competitor, but also like as a promoter now and just kind of, I think she'd be a good one to
That's a
have.
great idea. That is a wonderful idea, Lexi. That's why you are the brains and the beauty of this operation.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Hey, well, I mean, like, what was it? Last year I got Sandy on and that was like awesome. That was exciting. I
Yeah.
think if we can get some of these like, you know, bigger names on just to bring in some insight, it's always interesting.
Yeah. You know what? Thank you for your comment. We are going to create the hype.
Yeah.
We're gonna bring some people on and talk
Shout
about
out
stuff.
to the
I love
person.
that.
I actually think that the person that commented that, I don't think their YouTube is like under a name. So I otherwise I'd give them a shout out. But to the person that said we are going to create the hype, we are sure going to do that.
Well, so our next podcast next week, we are going to go over our top 10 predictions. So I want everybody listening, start penciling people in. And what's going to be really funny is when we start going over this, I'm going to literally circle names and it's going to be amazing. There's going to be some people in third callouts at the Olympia that have been top 5 at the Olympia before. It's my prediction. Like there's going to be some people that are like, you're like, wow. Because every year I'll be watching the callouts at the Olympia and I'll see somebody standing on the side. I'll be like, oh my God, she hasn't been called yet.
Right.
Still standing
Yep.
over there.
Mhm.
Trying to
You're
remember
right.
who it was. She has a lot of tattoos. She got the neck tattoo. What was her name? Crazy physique, huh?
Lucia?
Lucia. She
I
was
wa-
like ninth at the Olympia. And then the next year, I think she was in fifth callouts. And I just remember looking up and seeing her standing there and being like, whoa, she hasn't been called out yet? Yeah.
yeah.
So like,
She's the only one I could think of when you said neck tattoo. I'm like,
well,
yeah,
I think that was, I
yeah,
mean, we all kind of followed, something happened in her life dramatic and she went and got, I don't know. But you know, if you were ever at a show with Lucia Malvez, when she walked out, you were like, damn,
Yeah.
that human is put together. I knew
Yes,
her
it
when
is.
she was with Kim Odo, when she had the brunette hair, then she switched to the blonde hair, then she got a lot harder. You know, she went through different, you know, but she always was like your eye went right to her.
Yes, it did.
yeah.
She demanded your attention.
Yeah.
She had a very spunky energy and persona on stage that obviously benefited her very well.
Yeah, structure, muscle, beauty. She had all the things, and so I think the highest she placed at the Olympia was ninth, if I'm not mistaken. But then yeah, so she was one of those girls. You know, you're top 10 at the Olympia, you're working your way up, and But that's one of those things at the Olympia.
Yeah. Well, it's
That
like
top 10, that top 10 is prestigious. Anyone who's ever been at the top 10 at the Olympia, we've all know their names. Like
Yeah.
it's a very small list.
yeah. All right, that gives me some homework for the next week. I gotta do some research and come up with my top 10.
Homework.
Yeah. Awesome.
Let's do it. All right, guys. Well, I think that's good for today. We've got homework to do. Answer below your favorite meal in prep or the thing that you crave the most in prep.
Yes. And we will also, if you're listening, we will also put the link in the YouTube description for Command the Stage San Diego. If you want to
Yeah.
hop on that, get some tickets for that. It is, again, very limited, but it'll be super fun. We've never gone out west for an event before. So, yeah.
Yeah. All right, guys.
All right.
Talk to you next week.